Morning student, today I am here to explain you English literature of class 5th, the story A Boy Who Knew Not Fear. This is a story of about Admiral Nelson's life, who was a very brave boy, adventurous boy, and he never knew what fear was. So I'm going to read and explain the whole story. Listen very carefully. Let's start. On 29 September 1758, in Norfolk, England, a boy who was born. He never knew what fear was. This boy's name was Horatio Nelson. Once, as a child, Horatio went to stay at his grandmother's place. He wandered away from the house in search of birds' nest. Wander means walk or move in an aimless way. This Horatio do not know where he was going. When dinner time came, the boy did not return. His family became anxious. Anxious, feeling or showing worry. They feared that he had been kidnapped by gypsies or that he had met with an accident. They searched in every direction. Just as the searchers were about to give up, they found little Nelson sitting quiet by the side of a brook. A brook is a small stream. I wonder, child, said his grandmother, that hunger and fear will not drive you home. Fear, grandma, exclaimed the boy. I never saw fear. What is it? So the grandmother know that the hunger and fear will not make them back to home. But this he said to the grandma that I have never saw any fear. Horatio was a born leader. His spirit of leadership was seen even in his school days. In the garden of his boarding school there grew a remarkable pine pear tree. The tree was laden. Laden means heavily loaded with fruits and was very tempting, very tasty, very good looking, delicious to the boys. No one dared to help themselves to the pears because of the fear of their master. Dare means have the courage to do something. Now Horatio volunteered willingly offered to get the pears for his friends. He jumped out of the window and gathered as much of the fruit as he could carry. He returned and gave the pears to the boys, not keeping one for himself. I only took them, he explained, because the rest of you were afraid to take the risk. Horatio was no, known for his sense of honor. His nobility was also clear in his early life. Once he and his brother William set out on a horse to go to school. There had been a heavy snowfall. William persuaded him, convinced Nelson to go back. The William persuaded means convinced the Nelson to go back with him, saying that it was not safe to go on. If that be the case, said Reverend Mr. Nelson, the father of the boys, you certainly shall not go to school, but make another attempt, and I will leave it to your honor. If the road is dangerous, you may return, but remember, boys, I leave it to your honor. Now, the father already told uh, these sons, that William and Nelson, that if you feel any dangerous, you return back to home. The snow was really deep, and William wanted to return home again. But over here, Horatio, however, did not agree. We must go on, he said. Who said? Horatio said to William, to his brother, that we will move on. Remember, brother, it was left to our honor. And Horatio reached school. When he was only 12 years old, young Nelson decided to serve under his uncle. When he was only 12 years old, Nelson decided to serve under his uncle, Captain Morris Suckling. Morris Suckling was a naval officer. Captain Suckling said, "What has poor Horatio done? Who is so weak to lead such a difficult life at sea? A cannon ball may knock off his head." So this Captain Navy uncle, this Captain Morris Suckling said to the her Nelson that you are very poor. You are means you are not very strong, and you are very weak. And how you can go in deep into the sea? Or how can you live the difficult life of the sea? Okay, so although a small and sticky child, Nelson was not afraid. His father took him to the London and put him into the Reasonable. Reasonable means this is the name of a ship, Royal Navy ship. Now come to the next page. When he reached there, Horatio uncle was not on the ship. So there was no friendly voice to greet him on board the big ship. Means this Suckling, Captain Suckling was not there. Only this Horatio, no familiar face, Suckling over there, but he is also not on that big ship. Now he was all alone, no friends. So he feel homesick over there and depressed. He passed some of the most miserable days of his life on the Ransonable, the name of a ship. The officer treated the sailor with harshness. This treatment made life even more difficult for the sailor. Who's the sailor over here right now? This Horatio. Here, the Horatio was disappointed with the Royal Navy. Means this, there was very treated very badly and with harshness, very rudely with the sailors who are new over there. The people of the boats and the people of the navy are treated very harshly with the new sailors. Okay, so it was even more difficult for the Horatio on the ship, but he was separated from all his loved ones. He was all alone, no one is there, no common face, no familiar faces for Horatio, no friends are there. More importantly, he was away from his brother William, who was his schoolmate and constant, constant champion. Here he had to also suffer the hardship of a very young sailor boy, but his courage did not fail him because he was a very brave boy, he was very courageous boy, okay, very daring, so he cannot step back. Now, later, this lad went on a voyage of discovery to the North Pole. During the journey, all went well until the ship neared the polar region. There, the team was stuck in the ice and could not move. This is the region, polar region. The North Pole and South Pole is this polar region is totally covered with ice, you know, throughout the year. Now, young Nelson was put in command of one of the boats sent out to find a passage to open water. Here he saved the life of the crew of another boat which had been attacked by walrus. Okay, over here the in he was near to the region, polar region, where the sea was ocean was covered with snow throughout the year, and over there um, the ship go and stuck in the into the ice. Now the Nelson has the command and the responsibility to save the all the um, passenger over there, all the sailors who are there on the boat, on the ship. Here he saved the life of the crew of another boat which had been attacked by the walrus. Walrus is a kind of a bear. However, his most extraordinary adventure during this polar cruise means a sea journey to the poles, uh, was a fight with a bear. One night he stole away from his ship with a friend to hurt a bear. They were soon lost in the thick fog. Early morning, the weather began to clear. The captain saw them fighting with a huge bear. The captain signaled Nelson and his friend to return. Nelson's friend begged him to obey the captain. They had no ammunition, but Nelson wanted to continue the fight. You will see in the picture also, he was fighting with the walrus. Never mind, he cried excitedly. Let me give a blow with the butt of my musket. Musket is a light gun with a long barrel, and we shall overpower him. So he was very confident, and even he was so brave that he was not even afraid from this walrus, and he was continue fighting. Now the captain saw the danger and fired his gun. This frightened the bear away. Nelson then had to face the consequence of his disobedience. He was severely scolded by his captain. Means over here the captain has already been giving the command that stop and come back to the board and giving the signal to the Nelson, but he was disobeying to the captain over there. So the captain was scolded him. When asked the reason for fighting a bear, he replied, Sir, I wish to kill the bear so that I might carry the skin to my father. At the young age of 19, he became a second lieutenant, and at 20, he became a commander. Before he was 21, because of his courage and enthusiasm, he had gained all the honors of the service that anyone could. His kind treatment of the men and boys under his made Nelson the best loved man in the British Navy. He ruled by love rather than by fear. When at the age of 47 he was seriously wounded in the Battle of Trafalgar, the whole of the England plunged into grief. Although England won the battle, it lost its noblest of their heroes. So, in the Battle of Trafalgar of England, Nelson died. He has lost his noblest of heroes, brave hero. The last words of the hero who had won some of the greatest sea battles for his country were, Thank God I have done my duty. Throughout his naval career, Nelson was wounded many times in combat. Combat means battle, losing an arm and the sight in his right eye. As a person, he was at times thoughtless, but he was enthusiastic, patriotic, as well as brave. He was noted for his ability to inspire and bring out the best in his men. His qualities set him apart from his contemporary people existing at the same time. This is the reason he is still remembered. So, student, I hope all of you understand the lesson. Thank you. Stay safe and keep learning.